I'm so hyped about the goddamn Epstein files. I know they're going to be censored to fuck. I am aware that they are going to be censored to fuck. I'm just looking forward to the discourse. Hope the oversight Dems leave the comments open. Yeah. Don't get sick again. We need a stream tomorrow. I feel pretty good right now. Just got that lingering cough, but I feel pretty good, you know, sickness-wise. Here's some good Epstein discourse. A month ago, NYT columnist David Brooks wrote a column decrying the media and political fixation on the Epstein story. This afternoon, House Dems released a new tranche of photos of an event that Brooks attended with Epstein. The Epstein story? Count me out. Ooh, so sorry, Mr. Brooks. You have actually been counted in. You have been counted into the Epstein story. I'm so sorry, but it's not up to you. That's really funny. My impression is that basically everyone who does editorial work at the New York Times is a Zionist file. Like, my bias towards that opinion has not been, I guess, shaken by time. It seems like more and more and more it turns out to be the case. So, yeah. I really hate all these overgrown party frat boys. Well, we all know what island he was partying on. Some seem kind of fine, kind of. The New York Times, the failing New York Times, is one of the worst rags out there. It has as much incendiary rhetoric and media bias often as Fox News, but it has all the pomp and pretense and alleged, journalistic credibility of, I don't know, NPR or Reuters or whatever. I really do hate them. AP, yeah. An NYT spokesman on why Brooks didn't mention the meeting in his column. Should you have disclosed your association with Epstein in the article where you say that the media is focusing too much on the Epstein files? As a journalist, David Brooks regularly attends events to speak with noted and important business leaders to inform his columns, which is exactly what happened at this 2011 event. Mr. Brooks had no contact with him before or after this single attendance at a widely attended dinner. Listen, man, I'm going to level with you. I need to be real with you, okay? Maybe this is just me. But if I went to a journalist conference and I got to the table, and at the table was Jeffrey Epstein, and there was a photographer there, my ass is rotating 360 degrees and walking straight back. I am not staying in that fucking room. Are you kidding me? In 2011? Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. You see, that's like a horror movie premise. You're at an event, it turns out Epstein is there. You legitimately have no idea. Like, you did not know Epstein was going to be there. And you're sitting next to him, and the photographer starts coming closer, and you're like, fuck. But you're like really anxious, so you don't want to make a scene by getting up and running away. You know? Photographer, like, they take a picture of the couple right next to you, and then you move a little bit closer, and you're like, you're trying to like hide your face with a binder or something. Diabolical. The guy at the NYT who was in charge of stories on Epstein was in the release files and emails too. Oh yeah, that's a classic like Peter Parker situation. How do you get such good photos of Spider-Man? Oh, whatever. How do your insight on Epstein and the stories around him is so illuminating. How do you get it? Epstein smiles, the gesture registering through the Mission Impossible mask that he is wearing over his face. I don't know. Guess I've just got an analytical mind. Let's take a look at his authorship. I'm just curious. I always wanted to, with people who write the articles, you learn so much when you look back at what they've written on, especially with the New York Times, because if you're looking at the authorship of somebody who writes for, I don't know, Fox or whatever, some rag, what the articles are going to be. It's all going to be just repeating Trump points, partisanship, whatever. It's boring. But with places like the New York Times, it's interesting because these people are actually smart. The people who work at the New York Times are not stupid, right? Pedo-Zionists maybe, but very well-educated ones. So you get this, like, wider range. You actually kind of escape the midwit vortex a little bit of the 105 IQ conservatives who think that they're, Roman legionnaires fighting for civilization when in reality they have politics indistinguishable from your average West Virginian dumbfuck. You kind of escape the vortex a little bit and you get into like, no, these guys are actually like 120, 130 IQ, but they're still Zionist pedophiles. They're weighed down not by stupidity, but by bias and evil. And I want everyone to know I'm using IQ euphemistically here. I don't actually think it describes much about your writing abilities. It's just punchy. How to replace Christian nationalism. Hey, lefties, Trump has stolen your game. We need to think straight about God and politics. Why I'm not a liberal. The wrong definition of love. I bet you some of these are actually a decent read. It's not an education if AI does your thinking for you. Devastating. The Zionist pedophile has expressed a good point. I detest Netanyahu, but on some things he's actually right. On the broader issue of the Iranian threat, Netanyahu and Trump have been forces for good. Yeah, there you go. It evens out. Listen, if for every one Zionist pedophile take, you have 10 anti-AI takes, I say it's a wash. Well, he doesn't like Trump. CNN out with a story on how insane the behind-the-scenes redactions of the files are. I assume you mean the files that are being released tomorrow, not like the big image drops from the Epstein estate and from the DOJ that the oversight Dems have been leaking. Frustration mounts at Justice Department as it races to redact some Epstein files, sources say. Dude, you had a year to prepare for this. What the fuck? Why did you not know this was happening? You had an entire year. Why not just use AI to redact it? A substantial number of redactions are needed, one of the sources said, and the documents each attorney is processing since Thanksgiving week can number more than 1,000. Holy shit. So the DOJ is just directing all of their lawyers towards this? Like every lawyer at the DOJ right now is on pedophile protection duty? Lawyers working on the Epstein files of the DOJ's National Security Division also believe they aren't getting clear or comprehensive direction on how to make the most information available under the law. Counterintelligence specialists were asked to drop nearly all of their other work to process the Epstein documents. All hands on deck, okay? We need counterintelligence specialists. We need computer experts. We need the people who guard our nuclear silos. Everyone in every submarine that's been submerged somewhere in the South China Sea over the past 6 months. We need you up and at it. You need to get out there, get back in here. Get a fucking highlighter. We need you in the building. Holy shit. Counterintelligence specialists, that's insane. Some lawyers declined to participate. Well, that's good, at least, I guess. An act of Congress has mandated the Trump admin release troves of Epstein-related documents from grand jury records, FBI files, internal DOJ discussions by Friday, that's tomorrow, after months of the Trump admin promising and not delivering on transparency. Extensive amount of information redacted, the type of lack of transparency the American people may continue to scrutinize. Related article, more photos of Epstein's estate. Cool. Some legal document specialists are already preparing for the possibility that DOJ's release of the files will have more redactions than what is required, and that there may be mistakes in what's redacted and what's made public. Mistakes especially could relate to the disclosure of sensitive personal info because of the volume of documents and how fast the lawyers have had to work. Oh no. They're gonna like speed redact everything, but they're going to miss one bit of personal info, and it's going to be like the phone number and address of a DoorDash driver who was interviewed by the FBI because he brought like a pizza to Epstein's New York estate once or whatever. They'll have his info there, so people are just going to see a bunch of SCP black bars and then an address and a number, and they're going to firebomb his house. Rip to that driver. Either they're going to screw up or they're going to withhold things. It wouldn't surprise me. Said one lawyer outside the Justice Department who is awaiting the release to determine whether there should be complaints about how the redaction work was done. Some of it may be incompetence as much as deliberate. Oh, fuck. The Epstein files are vast, and thousands of records held by different sections of law enforcement have to be picked through to determine whether they're responsive to the transparency law's requirements or need to be redacted because of various confidentiality rules, and to protect Epstein's victims. There are only 4 pages the lawyers have been given as internal guidance to follow to make the redactions. What? Are you fucking kidding me? They've only been given 4 pages of instruction on how to redact like tens of thousands of files. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. 4 pages probably isn't even enough to cover the actual text of their requirements, let alone how to best implement them. There are also logistical headaches in the work. Duplicates in what the lawyers are working through haven't been taken out of the cache. One source told CNN. That creates the possibility there may not be consistent redactions across the documents, or that redactions may be done incorrectly at spots. Oh no. Plus, it adds hundreds of pages more for lawyers to process. The Justice Department has flubbed redactions in a massive document production already this year. When the National Security Division worked on releasing 60,000 pages relating to the Kennedy assassination, remember that, by the way? That was a nothing burger. Earlier this year, in another drop-everything task with a deadline, it's almost like this administration has no idea what it's doing, and every single time they put something forward, it's not the result of planning, but a desperate effort to capture a headline. Social Security numbers and other private info of more than 400 former congressional staffers and others were mistakenly made public, according to the Washington Post. That fucking sucks. Imagine being like a 22-year-old congressional staffer back when JFK was assassinated, and then as like a, I don't know, fucking 80-year-old man or whatever, your Social Security number gets doxxed by the president releasing the Kennedy assassination files in an effort to distract people from the Epstein files, which then came out later anyway. Why would counterintelligence agents not be involved? I don't know. I feel like they probably have more important shit to do than like pedophile cleanup duty. It seems like the smart thing to have done here would have been to gather all the files together, remove all of the duplicates, and then get a crack team of DOJ lawyers very well versed on exactly what is needed to be done, and then give them months and months to do it. Not like, hey, last week, sorry to bother you guys, we need you to come in late today. Fucking, here's what you have to do, I think, kind of. All right, good luck. The DOJ's National Security Division inherited the redaction work from the FBI after the law was passed for transparency on the Epstein files. It's surprising to many national security law specialists that that's who's doing the work, given the division's historical emphasis on classified matters and the lack of a nexus between Epstein and national security interests. Several sources said, however, that's where the manpower is at the Justice Department this year. FBI has done similar work in redactions. The national security lawyers aren't among the Justice Department division that classically handles document processing or even sex crimes or conspiracies. Yeah, no shit, they're national security lawyers. A different part of the Justice Department where lawyers handle FOIA requests are more typically tasked to handle document redaction processes, especially before the Trump administration. The National Security Session is in the office. Yeah, okay, so it seems completely fucked. All the other departments got drained of manpower because people quit. That sounds about right, yeah. FOIA is so dead. FOIA is dead because right now nobody at the DOJ even knows what they are or how to process them. Can you imagine working at the DOJ and you get a request for transparency? What do you show them? Dog, we're not keeping paperwork over here. We have no fucking idea what's happening. You want all the documentation relating to this event? So do I. That would be great. Nobody has any clue. As with so many other things we've looked at today. Cool.